Welcome to optimizing your Handshake search while you're abroad. So let's talk about some Handshake best practices. These apply whether you are abroad or on campus. You should always log in regularly, and you should do it as often as you can. Be sure to complete your profile and update it regularly. At the beginning of the academic year, we recommend making sure that your GPA, your majors, your minors, and your academic year are correct. Upload a public resume and apply to jobs regularly. Be sure to register or attend events, both virtual and in person. When you're abroad, you really need to be paying attention to the virtual events. This year, a lot of employers are doing events that may be posted to several schools at one time. These are just as important as the events that are posted just to Wake Forest. Be sure to update your preferences regularly. Set up at least one saved job search that makes your life easier, not harder. And be sure to respond to employer messaging and set up one-on-one video chats with employers. We're going to talk through several of these things throughout this presentation so that you're able to optimize your jobs and internship search while you are abroad. So let's talk about your profile. What you cannot edit is your class year, your major, your minor, and your email address. If any of these fields are incorrect, please be sure to email handshake@wfu.edu and we will get it updated accordingly. What you can edit is your GPA, hometown, and all these things on the right-hand side. I want to take a moment to highlight GPA. It is imperative that you put your GPA into Handshake. While you do not need to make it public, you do need to have it in there because employers will exclude you from job postings if you don't have a GPA that meets their cutoff. So while you may have a 3.8 GPA and the job requires a 3.5, if you don't have your GPA in Handshake, it will show you as not fully qualified. So, you heard me talk about a little bit ago about saved searches. This is to make your life easier. Work smarter, not harder. Under the Jobs tab, be sure to do your search like you regularly would, and then you want to click Save Search. When you save your search, you're going to have the option to tell it how you want to find out. Email, in-app, or push. I highly recommend email, and you can even do it daily if you want it daily. That way you find out as soon as the jobs are posted. If you want to edit or delete a search at any time, you go to your notifications under your profile, and you're going to edit your notification preferences, and there is where you can edit the job search. So let's talk about, again, work smarter, not harder. Wake Employer Network. This is a label that we apply to jobs and employers, and you can search off of this. What a Wake Employer Network means is that it is an employer that has a proven track record with Wake Forest. So that means they're coming to campus, they may be doing virtual events with us, and they have had hires in the recent years of Wake Forest students. So these are organizations that we have a relationship with and that you really want to focus on and apply to jobs within those employers. You see under the jobs, as far as where you find it, you would go labeled by your school when you search, and that is how you will find the Wake Employer Network. Same thing with diversity job internship event label. You're going to search on it the exact same way. And these are jobs, events, and internships that have a proven diversity element to them. While we are not able to catch all diversity events, we try to catch as many as possible and denote it with this label. Another way to help your job search to make it easier for you is employer collections. This you will find on the Career Center page within Handshake. The employer collections are hand-picked employers by Wake Forest University. We have several categories. You see 6 right here. And within these 6, we can highlight up to 50 employers that fall within that category. The employee relations team has taken the time to go through all of these categories and highlight employers that we know fit within that category. You can view the collections and see the employers and see the postings that these employers have. I highly recommend this way because these are employers that, again, we know are engaged with our students, we have relationships, and they want to hire Wake Forest talent. Let's talk about another way to make your job search easier. Wake Forest sourced opportunities. This is an employer within Handshake. I highly recommend that you favorite this employer so that you can see what we post there. As the employer relations team, we actively get job and internship postings from organizations that either don't take the time to post to Wake Forest and say, please post it for us, or they're alumni who are seeking to hire a fellow DEEC and they want to make sure that it gets out to the students. Our way of putting it in Handshake for you to find is to put it under WFU sourced opportunities. These are not cold leads, these are warm leads of jobs. So be sure to always check this employer. That's why we recommend favoriting it to make your life easier. So let's talk about signing up for an interview slot. This is going to be very important since you are abroad. And I want to take this moment to introduce to you the employer relations team. These are the people behind the scenes that are working with the employers to make sure that everything is set up correctly for any interviews that occur on campus. If you get an email from any of these people, you're going to want to make sure that you pay attention to it. We are going to be emailing you either with a hot job that we won't think you might be interested in, or telling you congratulations, you have a job interview. And we want to make sure you get your information about your interview. So be sure when you receive an email from any of these people that you check it out immediately. So let's talk about on-campus interviews. You still can do on-campus interviews when you're abroad. We will just do it virtually. So once you've been chosen by an employer for an on-campus interview, you'll receive a notification in Handshake telling you need to select your time slot. When you do that, you want to make sure that you click it and sign up as soon as possible so that you can get a time that works for your schedule. Just a little pro tip, in your notifications, make sure that you have it enabled so that you get these notifications as soon as possible. Signing up for an interview slot. You can go to that link of that notification, or you can go to the upper left corner and click on the Events tab. Then click on Campus Interviews just below the Events tab. From there, you can find the interview that you've been invited to, and then you can sign up for your slots. Let's say you've requested a slot and now you can't make it because something has happened. You can request to swap an interview slot. But let me put this caveat. You may not get that slot if that student cannot give that slot up. What will happen is when you follow these steps and you request an alternate interview time slot, swap the schedule, swap the time, it will ask the student if they are able to do it, and they can decline or approve. Also, the account manager on the employer relations team, they will get notified that you're asking to swap. So we try to work with everybody to make sure that everybody gets a time that works for them. So be sure to be in communication with the account managers if you need assistance. And if you need to swap, be sure to do so in a timely manner. If you receive a notification that somebody has tried to swap with you, please respond to it within a timely manner so that that student can know and the account manager can work with that student to find an appropriate timing. So let's talk about interviewing while abroad. Most of interviewing, whether you're on campus or abroad, the interview itself is going to be pretty much the same. But there are a few things we want to highlight since you are abroad. Most organizations will allow the employer relations team to schedule abroad students on an on-campus interview schedule. So be sure, even if you see these jobs are on-campus interview, be sure to apply to them. Don't let that stop you. What we will do is we will set up an interview via Zoom. So if you're selected for the interview, please let the account manager, Dana, Lori, Amy, or Jason, know that you're abroad. So that can be denoted on the schedule. A best practice is to test your technology at least 2 days prior to the interview to make sure you have an appropriate setting as well as the right connections with your computer. If you would like, you can set up a technology test session with a member of the employer relations team. Just email brc@wfu.edu and a member of our team will be in contact about setting it up. So the last thing we want to talk about is employer messaging. This is an important feature of Handshake, whether you are abroad or on campus. But as someone who is abroad, this is a great way for you to leverage not being on campus. So employer messaging is when employers send you messages. That's the first aspect. The other aspect is when you send employers messages. But let's talk about when employers send you a message. So employers are strategically sending messages to students who they think fit their profile. They cannot bulk mass these contacts. They actually have to select the criteria, select the recipients, and then contact the recipients. They are limited as to how many messages they can send at once. So know that if you get one of these messages, they've looked at your profile and think that you might be a fit for what they're posting. Also, we have one-on-one meetings with employers. This is a great opportunity since you are abroad, a way to make connections with employers that you would typically make on campus, but you can't make while you're abroad. One-on-one meetings with employers, you can set up a one-on-one video chat with employees of companies to learn more about the company and the opportunities. So how do you do this? You find the company in Handshake. In this case, I have pulled up Ford Motor Company. You click on View the Public Staff List, and then you click on the profile of the person with which you want to chat, and you would request and ask for a meeting. So, for instance, Brandy Joe Planbeck, we can send him a message of how to get a job or the recruiting process, and you can customize that message for what you're wanting to find out. Your interest. This is important because this is how you're going to tell employers that you're interested in them sending you a message. So on the left-hand side of your profile, be sure under Job Hunt that you select actively looking for a job or not looking for a job but open to opportunities. Once you do this, employers will be able to message you and reach out to you. If you have additional questions, please reach out to Wake Forest University Handshake at wfu.edu. I would also like to take the moment to highlight that we have several other presentations that go in depth on topics that may interest you. These topics are optimizing your job search, optimizing your profile, and employer messaging. If you'd like to deep dive into any of these topics, we recommend that you check out those resources. You can find those under the Handshake Resources section as well as through your career coach. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us at handshake@wfu.edu. Thank you.